it's a question a lot of people are asking themselves, and sometimes they're dropping this question with me. And also the general attitude we have towards life. And basically, you can be very short the question, what about life? Why are we living? Then most of the times we refer to physical life. Why do we have a physical body? What is the goal of my life? What should I do with my life? What are my qualities? How do I give form to my life? What is life all about? And the real answer to that question is basically very, very, very simple. Living. Life is there to live. Right now, here, we have all a physical body. We brought our body to this center, to this room, and we use our body to listen. We use our body to understand. We use our body kind of to move ourselves. We feed our body, we take care of our body. That doesn't mean that we are only a body, but for sure we are also a body. And it means that everything what is there as well, maybe as resources we bring in being incarnated or being born, is expressing itself through this body, is experiencing through this body. Even when we talk about telepathy, when we talk about clairvoyance and all of this, this is moving through the physical body. The only way we could relate to it, we could remember it, we could kind of say something about it, do something with it, or even have the impression it has to move towards the physical. So that means that right now we are physical. We are also our body. And I'm bringing this forward because we have a difficulty to accept our physical being. We have a difficulty to kind of, to move to the depth of the whole experience of being physical alive. So, a statement that you are not your body often is based on a war against the physical, like there is something not right with the physical and being physically alive. And when you look to this, then if there is something not right with the physical life, if there is something not right with our physical body, with our physical existence, there is no peace. There is no peace with being physical alive. So, if you want to find union inside yourself, if you want to kind of, to move on the path of inner growth and kind of move into enlightenment, whatever is brought forward about that, which is also kind of another subject, a lot of fairy tales, I think. But if you want to move there, the first thing, I think, which is important, is to come to peace with the here now, to find union, oneness. And it means to find peace with our physical existence. So what is life about? So the first answer is living. And is living your life enough? Or should we do something big? Should we prove ourselves? Should we kind of change the world? Is this why we are born? I don't think so. I think that in the interaction with our environment, our physical environment, as we are living, and basically experiencing life to the depth. Understanding our experience. And be able to exist in the form which we are taking every moment. This is basically enough. Live as fully as we can. And then part of living as fully as we can, there is this deep kind of need for us to give form, to interact. And the interactions we have with the world and how we give form to ourselves, how we express ourselves, if this is natural, then we are moving into a natural expression of our lives here now. And whatever comes out is worthwhile. Whatever comes forward is something which will add something. So I wrote 3 words on the whiteboard, and they're connected with 3 different levels of ourselves. So the first word is very much connected with the mind and our mental part. And although a lot of people, when they talk about the mind, they talk about, this is the spiritual part of ourselves. I think it's absolutely opposite. The moment we move into the physical world, we move into polarity. Our mind is working in polarity. It's the most physical part of ourselves. The whole working of the mind is a reflection of being here, of being in the physical. We think in polarity, we talk in polarity. The mind is always dividing, which is absolutely okay. The mind can also analyze or bring together, but to analyze is already dividing. What we create through the mind is within physical parameters, which means that what we bring into the mind is already there. What we bring through the mind is already in polarity. It's working in polarity. When we use our mind in an open way, we move into understanding. It's connected with listening. To understand something, we have to open our minds, to let information in. This can be all kinds of different information. But the whole movement of trying to understand and understanding is an open-mindedness is needed for this. It's a movement inwards. It's letting life in. So the scientist who tries to understand an aspect of life is in a creative process with what he meets outside. He lets information in. He's absorbing information. To come to understanding, we need to move to an aspect of the mind which is quite important. This is our consciousness, or the witness. We need to witness to be able to understand. So the backdrop of understanding is basically witnessing. Witnessing life. And this is really kind of interesting. What's happening when we witness something? When we witness a flower, we just purely witness the flower. Or we witness another person. What's happening? There's something miraculous happening. The conscious we build up by witnessing immediately is shared. If we witness a flower, the flower becomes more self-conscious. It's like an affirmation of consciousness. The moment you feel that you're witnessed, It's like something awakes in you and you become more conscious. So this is a way to share consciousness and to bring up the consciousness to a general consciousness of everything which is physically alive right here now. So if we move to the next level, this is more the level of the heart and not so much the level of the mind, then what you see, the level of the heart is much less in polarity. There is still some polarity, but there's much less polarity, especially when we move more deeply into the heart. And this level, what it brings forward is not so much kind of the activity of the mind, but it's bigger in a way. It's experiencing. It gives us the ability to feel, and what's behind feeling is to experience life. And everything around life. So if we really move deeply into experience, then what's behind experience is being. Just plain being. Being by itself brings us into experience. And the backdrop of being is our awareness. Being aware. So when we look to our awareness, then the awareness gives us the opportunity to experience almost everything we can experience. Almost everything is possible in experience. The atmosphere which is there around experiencing through awareness is an atmosphere of love. This is where we meet. As when we really listen and understand and move to the backdrop of the mind to witness, there is an atmosphere of peacefulness. So when a person is absolutely aware of you, what is triggered is self-awareness. If I'm totally aware of the flower, and the flower is much more responsive to awareness because the flower is more in awareness as in consciousness. So immediately the flower reacts. It opens up. It shows its beauty much more. And the more I'm aware of the beauty of the flower, the more the flower kind of, gets narcissistic. It's not a narcissist, but still. It's showing its beauty. This is the same if we feel that somebody is really aware of what and who we are. It kind of makes us flower, brings forward the best inside ourselves on the level of being. There's a big difference in a person, who's loved to the depth, and a person who's not loved. In the whole radiation the person has, in the openness, in the freedom of being which is there. It's the difference you see with children who are really loved and children who are less loved. You see in the whole expression of the child something different. So being in awareness gives basically, or awareness and being aware of another person, basically gives an affirmation of the being of the other person, because our awareness makes us aware of the being of the other persons of this level, of the essence of the other person, the soul level of the other person, the inner light of the other person. And the moment somebody is aware of your inner light, it's like your inner light is kind of, is expanding, is boosting. You become more alive. So the third level is connected with existing. Existing is basically being here. Existence, when you look to it, is a very refined energy. It's so common and so normal that it's almost difficult to discover. But it got an incredibly strength in it, and a potential in it? It's basically connected with the base of our physical existing, or existence. We have very much issues with existence. There is so much illusions around our existence. Is at a certain moment we think, or a lot of us think or come to the illusion that we have really to do a lot to deserve our right to exist. We have to work for it. We have to change the world. Maybe we have to be the Messiah. Then we have a right to exist. This, I think, is really a misunderstanding. There is no question about us being here, our existence. We are existing here, right now. Is there a reason for that we are existing? Maybe. Is that important? Not. What's important is that we allow ourselves to exist. Allowing yourself to exist, to surrender to your own existence, is to surrender to existence at all, which is immediately linked to your own existence. And this is the deepest level which is bringing us all together. It's not that we have a private existence. Existence is basically moving through all of us. And to surrender to the depth of existence is bringing forward the experience of unity. Existence giving form through you. Existence giving form through everything which is physically alive. Recognizing itself through every expression, affirming itself through every expression. So to come to existence, what we need to move into is kind of the perception through emptiness. Only emptiness is empty enough, and it's not empty at all. But the state of emptiness is empty enough, is giving enough space for this refined, so common energy that, when you kind of recognize it, it's like, oh yeah, this has been there always, will be there always. It has been there from the start of my life. I totally know this energy. This energy, this flow, this atmosphere which is connected with existence. These are three different levels through which life is expressing itself, or we are expressing through that in life. There are three levels which are also connected with the physical body. So the deeper we move into the physical body, the more we allow ourselves to become physical. To be also our body. The more these three levels are coming forward, and we are able to dance, to move between these three levels. From existing to being, from being to understanding, from understanding to being, from being to existing. Three different levels which together are part of our physical life. So what I'm talking about now is the way inside. First, kind of, to move more deeply inside yourself, and in moving more deeply inside yourself, then can come forward another aspect of life, and this is the creative aspect. This is what we do, how we give form, what we express into the world. But expression without attunement, or expression without understanding, or expression without recognizing the existence and the unity between everything which is alive, is creating chaos. We need to express, but if we're not attuned in what we express, and especially when we just kind of, put all the emphasis on expression and no emphasis on understanding, it's not really attuned. It becomes a chaos. And so often a waste of energy. Life becomes very, very precise if we're able to move more inwards, if we act on understanding, or we act on experiencing, or we act on the form which is needed from the level of existence. So, we come to the meditation, which is a little bit playing with this. In meditating, you can make a choice. You can make a choice, you can work with one or two levels, maybe with all three levels. They're all interacting with each other. They're kind of all belonging together. But for some people, the mind is more the entrance. For other people, the heart is more the entrance. And for other people, the pelvic is more the entrance. The pelvic, the basis of the body, is more the entrance. So we start connecting with the ID. The location of the ID is not that important, but it's a very strong point which is around 30 centimeters above our head. Around here. And you can just imagine that there is a point there or a space there, it doesn't matter so much, but I like you to start here. And then what we're going to make, and you can either move like this or move like this, there is a lot of freedom in this, or in both sides at the same time, whatever you want. But we're going to make a movement downwards, I just choose this side for myself, to the base of the sternum. And then we have a little pause here. Just witness, be aware, perceive what is happening here. This can be comfortable or discomfortable. It's not that important. There is a secondary chakra here, and the secondary chakra here is so much in the depth connected with the joie de vivre, the joy of being alive. What's on top of the joie de vivre is fear. Fear for life itself. And pain. And this is the fear and pain which is kind of connected with kind of rejection. Not being seen, not being understood to the depth. So if this comes forward, just let it be, but try to kind of to move, allow it and move a little bit more to the depth, and at a certain point what you will meet is this kind of deep feeling of the joy of life. You see so clearly in children when they're not rejected that much yet. The ability to enjoy life. Then we move from this area, we move down to underneath our feet. Just a little bit in the ground, in the middle, underneath our feet. There is a point there as well, which is the earth point. And we move from the point underneath our feet up, again, the other side, to this joyful place. And from this joyful place we move up to the ID again. So we have a big 8, like this, around ourselves. And now, after we made the 8, we can choose. You can take the center of the lower circle and kind of, move inside yourself from the center of the lower circle. And then you can connect from the center of the lower circle. You can connect with emptiness. The lower circle is of the 8. So this will be somewhere here around the pelvic. A little bit higher, a little bit lower, but you can play with it. It's not a special place, but it's the whole area which is around the center. So you can play with the perception through emptiness. Or you can take the center of the higher circle, and when you come to the center of the higher circle, you're around the shoulders, and this whole area, which is an area which is very much connected with freedom. It's also where our wings grow. And the backdrop of freedom, when we move more deeply into it, is kind of stillness. So we can try to move into stillness, which is coming forward kind of basically from the mind moving into the heart area. Brings forward the state of meditation, which is called stillness. So you can choose between the two. So to come to stillness, what you can also do is to create silence inside yourself, and which is really helpful to create silence inside yourself. It's a big circle, and you can also kind of connect with this point above the brows, and when we move a little bit inside this point, often what comes forward by itself is silence. So we either kind of move into emptiness or into silence, and then, or stillness, and just let happen what happened for some time. So when you move through emptiness, what you can try to do is to connect with this energy of existence, to see if there is a possibility to link up with existence. When you move through silence or stillness, you can kind of move into the experience of being. Or you can take both of them and you can move into the experience of existing here. Being will kind of move into that as well. So after that, we shortly connect with our hands when the music starts and with our feet. And that's it. Shall I go over it again? The structure, quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. So we start with the ID and we move from the ID to the first depression point, the base of the sternum. It's called the first depression point because this is a depression. A rejection is something which triggers depression. When we feel really rejected, we kind of, we move into self-pity very easily, and then we don't want to live anymore. And it's a background situation of rejection. Then we move of depression. Then we move from the first depression point, the base of the sternum. We move down like this to a point in between our feet in the ground a little bit. And we move up again to this point. Be a little bit here, kind of move up to the ID, and we can circulate a few times, make the figure 8 around ourselves. This will have an effect already. If you just sit and try to feel the effect, this will be here and here. Try to connect with the joy of being alive.
Under the depression.
Yeah, on that depression point, yes. Beyond depression, there is this incredible joie de vivre. You wouldn't believe it. It's hidden there somewhere. It was there. It still is there. It never gets lost. We get lost. That doesn't get lost. Then we choose. We take either the upper circle of the 8 or the lower circle of the 8. And we try to find the center point, and with the center point we move inwards from the center point. And in the movement inward, we try to connect with what is there or in the background, and this can be silence, stillness, the upper circle, or the lower circle, emptiness. And especially when you attune a little bit towards emptiness in the movement inward, it comes forward quite easily. Or you attune to stillness, silence, it will come forward quite easily. We try. And then, in the end, we connect with our hands and we connect with our feet. And in this area we can kind of move in from stillness, which is a state of being, into being, or we can move from emptiness into existence, or connect up with existence.